Hello, welcome to another video. Please like, share and subscribe for more amazing story. True God in Another Worlds, Tensura x Tbate, by Tempest_King_20. Chapter 53 Important Meeting. Seal Pav. I let out a tired sigh, feeling the weight of exhaustion settle heavily on my shoulders. Leaning forward, I rested my hands on the cool, polished surface of the wooden table, savoring the soothing sensation against my palms. Glancing to my right, I saw Sylvia, her expression masking the intense curiosity burning within her. We both had a good grasp of the subject being taught in Professor Lionhowl's runes and glyphs class, but we had enrolled merely to fill our schedules. Professor Lionhowl droned on, her voice filled the classroom with a monotone rhythm. Sylvia seemed lost in her own thoughts, her eyes flickering with hidden intrigue. I could sense her mounting frustration, the desire to contribute her own insights to the discussion. Well, I can't say I'm much different on this one. Unable to resist, I nudged Sylvia gently, hoping to bring her attention back to the present. She met my gaze, a soft smile tugging at the corners of her lips, her enthusiasm evident. Sensing the waning interest of her students, Professor Lionhowl tapped her fingers on the table, demanding attention. As all of you know, she began, her voice resonating through the room, runes are more than mere symbols. They possess a magical essence that grants extraordinary powers to the objects they adorn. Professor Lionhowl continued, her voice filled with fervor. Scholarly mages have dedicated themselves to unraveling the mysteries of runes, seeking to uncover their profound meanings and hidden potential, and what they've discovered is truly remarkable. As we explore the intricate world of runes and glyphs, we come to realize that these ancient symbols hold practical applications as well as deep connections to the very heart of magic itself. Interestingly, the true power of runes doesn't lie solely in their individual meanings, but also in their ability to blend and resonate with each other. When combined in specific patterns and arrangements, runes create a synergistic effect, amplifying their inherent qualities and unlocking unprecedented magical potentials. The professor illustrates various techniques and principles of rune combination, emphasizing the importance of understanding the unique characteristics of each symbol and how they interacted when brought together. She provided examples of well-known sets of runes and their respective effects, demonstrating the versatility and complexity of the art. My excitement grew as I absorbed the professor's teachings. Ideas buzzed in my mind, envisioning the countless rune combinations I could experiment with and the potential outcomes that awaited my exploration. The lecture had taken an unexpected turn, offering a glimpse into the profound depths of rune magic that had previously seemed beyond reach. Professor Lionhowl concluded her exposition with a resounding challenge to the class, her voice ringing with passion and enthusiasm. "I implore each and every one of you to embark on an awesome journey of discovery," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Get your hands dirty with wild rune combinations, dive into ancient texts like a treasure hunter, and take notes on how these mysterious symbols transform everything. It's through personal exploration and daring experiments that we'll unlock the jaw-dropping potential hidden within these magical runes." As the class wound down, Sylvia turned to me with eyes shining bright, brimming with excitement. "Looks like there's a whole lot we still don't know," she declared, her voice filled with fervor, matching the flames of curiosity that danced within her. "Maybe," I responded, my attention fully captured by the runes. Sylvia and even Rimuru seemed captivated by the topic too, although Rimuru had chosen to explore it on their own instead of joining our class. Rimuru had always been one to blaze their own trail, seeking knowledge and understanding in their own unique way. Sylvia and I gathered our things and made our way out of the classroom, pushing open the heavy wooden door with a satisfying creak. The wide corridor stretched before us, alive with chattering students and the sound of footsteps. The cream-colored walls reverberated with the lively atmosphere. Ignoring the curious gazes and occasional whispers that followed in our wake, we set our sights on our destination. The passing students became mere blurs in our peripheral vision, their presence fleeting and unnoticed. Some glanced our way, caught between admiration and envy, but we pressed on, undeterred by the attention. It was lunch break, a welcome break from the academic grind. Instead of being swept along with the hungry crowd toward the noisy cafeteria, Sylvia and I veered off the main path and headed for a secluded spot within the school. This hidden gem, known only to a select few, was our secret lunch spot, a small garden tucked away from the bustling hallways. As we entered the garden, a sense of tranquility washed over us. The air was filled with the familiar fragrance of blooming flowers, mingling with the earthy scent of freshly cut grass. Sunlight filtered through the leaves of tall trees, casting dappled shadows on the ground. The soft chirping of birds provided a soothing backdrop to our lunchtime retreat. Just moments after we arrived, Lily emerged, her long chestnut tresses cascading down her back like a shimmering waterfall. Her radiant smile illuminated her face, reflecting the pure joy that seemed to radiate from her very essence. "Hey, girls!" Lily's voice carried infectious enthusiasm, her smile lighting up the garden. "Hey there, Lily. You're always bursting with energy," Sylvia replied, matching Lily's smile. "It's hard to believe you're the vice president of the student council." Don't even mention that position. It can be so draining sometimes," Lily exclaimed, playfully sighing as she took a seat on one of the weathered wooden benches. We joined Lily on the bench, settling down and unpacking our lunches. The lunch spot became our personal sanctuary, a place where we could escape the noise and demands of school life. "Well, I hope this brings a smile to your face," I said, a warm smile spreading across my lips as I extended the lunchbox towards Lily. Lily's eyes widened with delight as she accepted the lunchbox, her face glowing with gratitude. "Thank you so much, Seal. You always go above and beyond," she exclaimed, her voice filled with genuine appreciation. With eager anticipation, she unlatched the container and lifted the lid, revealing a mouth-watering assortment of meticulously prepared dishes. Her excitement was palpable as she took her first bite, savoring the explosion of flavors on her taste buds. A gleeful giggle escaped her lips. This is absolutely delicious. Thanks for always taking care of me like this." "You're welcome, Lily," I replied affectionately, a fond smile playing on my lips as I gently ruffled her hair, conveying my affection and care. It warmed my heart to see her genuinely happy, and I cherished every moment of it. Sylvia chimed in, her voice tinged with playful teasing. "You and Rimuru should cook more often. Your culinary skills are simply mouthwatering." "Haha, maybe we'll have to have a cooking competition one day," I replied, grinning at the thought. Cooking had always been a passion of mine, and the idea of showcasing my culinary skills alongside Rimuru thrilled me. "Oh, count me in as the official taste tester. I'll gladly devour everything you two create." Lily's eyes sparkled with excitement, her eagerness evident. Sylvia chuckled, casting a playful glance at Lily. The truth comes out. You just want an excuse to indulge your insatiable appetite, don't you?" Lily blushed, her cheeks turning a shade of red as she defended herself, her voice filled with a mix of pride and innocence. "I'm a growing girl, after all. Besides, Rimuru and Ciel's cooking is simply irresistible." "Okay, I'll give you that," Sylvia conceded, a smirk tugging at the corner of her lips. "But that doesn't mean you have to eat your weight in food, my dear glutton. We wouldn't want Rimuru to be disappointed, now would we?" "Hey, don't tease me like that, and don't bring Rimuru into this." Playfully defending herself, Lily blushed and lightly swatted Sylvia's arm, a feigned annoyance flickering in her eyes. I let out a soft sigh, a wry smile playing on my lips. This banter between the three of us was familiar and comforting. Sylvia loved to tease others, whether it was Lily or Ree, and even I couldn't escape her playful jabs. But despite her teasing, Sylvia was a great friend and always had our backs. I was grateful for her presence in my life, just as I was grateful for Lily's cheerful and bubbly personality. "All right, Sylvia, let's give Lily a break," I interjected, my voice gentle but firm, hoping to ease the teasing. "Hi," Sylvia acquiesced with a mischievous twinkle in her eyes, her playful nature still evident. Lily, though still pouting, resumed her meal with renewed enthusiasm, her voracious appetite undeterred. We whiled away the remainder of our lunch break engrossed in animated conversation, completely engrossed in each other's company. Laughter and heartfelt stories filled the air, creating a warm and inviting atmosphere. As the bell chimed, signaling the end of our break, we reluctantly gathered our belongings, bidding farewell to the cozy haven we had created. Heading towards our next class, Elemental Magic, we strolled through the corridors with confidence. As we passed by other students, I could sense their curious glances and hushed whispers, their eyes following our every move. It bothered me, to be honest, the way their eyes tracked our every move as if we were some sort of spectacle. "I wish I had their natural beauty," a girl whispered enviously to her friend, her gaze lingering on us, her eyes studying our features with a mix of longing and admiration. The soft murmur of their voices encircled us, serving as a constant reminder that we had once again become the center of attention. Sylvia rolled her eyes in response, her expressive gaze reflecting mild annoyance. "Looks like we've unintentionally gathered quite an audience," she quipped, a touch of irritation coloring her tone. Lily, growing increasingly frustrated, huffed and crossed her arms in a display of discontent. "Yeah, it's starting to grate on my nerves," she grumbled, her voice tinged with irritation. Feeling a mixture of annoyance and resignation, I released a weary sigh. This situation seemed to follow us wherever we went, a constant reminder of our distinctive appearances and the attention they attracted. Entering the classroom, we settled into our customary seats at the back. I positioned myself in the middle, flanked by Lily on my right and Sylvia on my left. In the mere seconds it took to find our places, one of the boys who had been whispering earlier with his friend made his way towards our table. He walked with an air of overconfidence and entitlement, his strides long and purposeful. With a mischievous smirk playing on his lips, he leaned against the desk, his eyes fixated on Lily. "Ah, Miss Lilia," he drawled, his voice dripping with condescension, each syllable laced with an unwarranted sense of superiority. "I couldn't help but notice the radiance that surrounds you today. It would be my utmost honor to accompany you on a date this weekend." Lily arched an eyebrow, her irritation palpable, simmering just beneath the surface. She leaned back, her body language conveying resistance to his presumptuous proposal. "And why, pray tell, would I want to go on a date with you?" Her voice dripped with sarcasm, slicing through the silence like a finely honed blade. The boy's smirk faltered momentarily, his confidence wavering under the piercing intensity of Lily's gaze. However, he swiftly regained his composure, unwilling to let his ego be bruised. "Well, you see," he began, his voice strained, "I thought a girl of your caliber would appreciate the company of someone like me, a charming boy." I raised an eyebrow, barely containing a chuckle at the audacity of the boy to describe himself as charming. It was evident that Lily was unimpressed by his feeble attempt to win her over. Lily tilted her head slightly, her expression unyielding. "Is that so?" she replied, her voice tinged with skepticism. She scrutinized the charming boy from head to toe, as if assessing his worth. "Sorry, but I have no interest in going out with anyone right now. Now if you'll excuse us, class is about to start," Lily responded, pointing to the professor who had just arrived. A flush of embarrassment spread across the boy's face as he realized his attempt had failed. He straightened himself and nodded, attempting to salvage his pride. Turning away, he sought to conceal his disappointment, retracing his steps to his own seat amidst the whispers and stifled laughter of the students. As the class commenced, the attention gradually shifted away from us, allowing us to focus on the impending lesson. "Did you see that?" Lily exclaimed, turning towards us. Her vexation was palpable as her brows furrowed deeply and her lips twitched ever so slightly. The narrowed look in her eyes conveyed a mix of frustration and disbelief. Sylvia couldn't help but let out a soft chuckle, shaking her head in disbelief. "I swear, some boys never learn. They think they can just saunter up to any girl and expect her to be swooned by their so-called charm." Nodding in agreement, I couldn't help but let a wry smile tug at the corners of my mouth. "Well, at least you shut him down with a sharp tongue," I remarked, offering Lily a reassuring look. Lily shrugged, the weight of her irritation gradually dissipating. Her shoulders relaxed, and a sense of calm replaced the initial surge of annoyance. "I'm just tired of guys like him thinking they can approach anyone without even considering how it might be received. It's disrespectful." Leaning in, Sylvia's voice dripped with mischievous delight. "You know, I could have sworn I saw a flicker of panic in his eyes. Your sarcasm can be quite something when you want it to be." Lily smirked, a glimmer of amusement dancing in her eyes. Maybe a little intimidation is exactly what he needed. It might teach him a valuable lesson about respecting boundaries. Luckily he didn't do anything foolish. Otherwise, I would have been more than willing to teach him a painful lesson, I chimed in, my tone carrying a hint of seriousness. Sylvia burst into laughter, but Lily, fully aware of my capacity for action, looked at me with a mix of horror and concern. "Please don't do that," she pleaded, her voice tinged with genuine worry. "What? This would be better than Rimuru hearing about this, right?" I remarked casually, attempting to lighten the mood. "You're right, Rimuru would probably be furious," Sylvia added, joining in the playful banter. Lily's eyes widened at the mention of Rimuru's potential involvement. Her curiosity mingled with a touch of joy, a spark of excitement at the thought of being protected. "Do you really think so?" she asked, a mix of curiosity and joy coloring her voice. "Well, maybe this boy won't emerge with just one broken arm," I teased, a mischievous glint in my eye. "Indeed," Sylvia chimed in, her tone reflecting a sense of agreement. "Is that so?" Lily hummed happily, her cheeks flushing slightly. Her voice held a note of delight, relishing the prospect of standing up for her. "Era, is there someone here secretly relishing in the idea of a knight in shining armor?" Sylvia teased, raising an eyebrow. Lily's cheeks flushed with a touch of embarrassment, and she attempted to hide her growing smile. Don't know what you're talking about," she replied, playfully deflecting. "Shall we inform Rimuru and see what happens next?" I suggested, a mischievous smile playing on my lips. No, let's not do that," Lily quickly interjected, waving her hand dismissively, her cheeks flushed with a mix of embarrassment and excitement. All right. We won't meddle further," I assured her, a playful glimmer in my eyes. Lily visibly relaxed, refocusing her attention on the lesson at hand. Every now and then, her cheeks would flush crimson, and she would delicately place her hands on them, lost in her thoughts. It was evident to both Sylvia and me what was occupying her mind, and we exchanged a knowing smile at the sight of dreamy Lily. "Kyla Flandier Pov," and that's all that he said. My brother finished his speech, his voice fading into exhaustion as he slumped into the chair. I glanced around the room, taking in the different reactions plastered across everyone's faces. Alfred sat there, his brow furrowed as he seemed to be turning something over in his mind. Thorin had his hands clenched so tight his knuckles were turning white, and he looked like he was about to start yelling any second. Sophia was chewing on her lip, her forehead all scrunched up. She seemed really frustrated about something. Emma, sitting a bit apart from the rest of us, just closed her eyes for a moment and took a sip of her tea, looking totally calm and unbothered. Leo was leaning forward, his face all scrunched up like he was trying to figure something out. The room was dead silent. You could practically feel the tension in the air. I mean, finding out that some continent we didn't even know existed has been spying on us and planning to invade? That's a lot to take in. And then finding out the one person we trusted the most kept this from us the whole time? It was like a punch straight to the gut, messing with our heads big time. "Are you absolutely certain of this?" Thorin's voice shattered the heavy silence, laced with a mix of skepticism and raw hurt, his words echoing like a thunderclap in the room. "And why the hell would Rimuru lie about something like this?" Lara interjected, her voice tinged with a touch of cynicism. She sat gracefully on the sofa, crossing one leg over the other. Her eyes fixated on the gleaming blade of her dagger, which she had raised above her head, seemingly lost in a labyrinth of her own thoughts. "Lara's got a point. Rimuru gains nothing from leading us astray," Leo added, folding his arms across his chest, his tone firm. "Nevertheless, it's a truth that is hard to fathom. I mean, even the rulers or the council, with their new name, don't know about this, right?" Sophia's voice quivered, betraying her inner turmoil, as she clasped her hands tightly together, struggling to contain her rising unease. Kyle nodded, his face serious. "Yes, according to Rimuru, they're clueless about all of this." "So how did Rimuru come to know about this, and when did he become aware?" Sophia pressed further, her gaze unwavering as she sought clarity in a sea of uncertainty. Ethan jumped in, leaning forward with urgency. "Look, all these questions are valid, but right now we gotta focus on the bigger picture. We've got a potential invasion on our hands, people. We need to figure out how to protect our assets, not get stuck in the past or question Rimuru's every move." Alfred finally spoke up, his voice steady and determined. "Ethan's right. No matter Rimuru's reasons, we can't ignore this threat hanging over us. We've got to figure out what to do next." Thorin's anger smoldered beneath a thin veneer of composure as he clenched his jaw tightly, his knuckles turning white. Gradually, he loosened his grip, releasing the tension that had threatened to consume him. "Caution is indeed warranted, but we must also confront Rimuru about this deception. We have been kept in the dark for far too long and are entitled to an explanation." Emma, who had been silently observing the conversation, finally opened her eyes, her gaze filled with calmness. "Thorin, I understand your frustration, but we must remember that Rimuru has always acted with purpose. We might not fully grasp his motives, but we have to trust him. Our priority now should be the safety of our people. We can address the aftermath later. Sophia, unable to contain herself any longer, interjected with a mixture of resignation and defiance in her voice. Emma, your logic makes sense, but it's hard to fully embrace it. Emma nodded, her expression understanding. I know, Sophia. It's not easy, but we have to place our faith in Rimuru's judgment. As the weight of the situation settled upon the room, a renewed sense of purpose filled the air. The impending preparations weighed heavily on everyone's minds. Alfred's gaze shifted towards Lara, urgency lacing his voice. Lara, has Rimuru given you any specific instructions considering the circumstances? Lara let out a weary sigh, the exhaustion etched on her face as she gently placed her dagger on the table. She met Alfred's gaze with tired eyes. No, Alfred. I'm here to assess your reactions and determine our next course of action, as ordered by Jackson. Of course, I'll inform Rimuru as well. Lara's countenance appeared indifferent, a departure from her typically composed demeanor. Alfred fell into deep thought, his brow furrowing. For now, let's follow Jackson's orders. But we can't let this deception go unaddressed. We deserve to know why we were kept in the dark. Lara sighed once more, nodding in acknowledgement. I'll convey your thoughts and decisions to Rimuru. But remember, he has his own reasons, even if they aren't clear to us. Let's focus on what we can control and work together to safeguard our continent. So, what do we do next? I asked, my voice tinged with uncertainty. Alfred's gaze swept across the table, determination etched on his features. For now, our options are limited until we receive further instructions from Rimuru. But we must intensify our training and fortify our defenses. Then, I'll inform Rimuru and Jackson of our discussion, Lara declared, rising from the couch and stretching her limbs to relieve the tension in the room. There's no need for that. A voice broke the silence, echoing from the shadowy corner of the chamber, and sent shivers down my spine. The presence of this individual exuded power, filling the room even before they emerged. Relief washed over me as I recognized the voice, dispelling my initial unease. I turned my gaze towards the source, and there she stood, elegant and mysterious. Her long, black hair flowed down her back like a waterfall of darkness, absorbing every flicker of light that touched its shiny strands. Her eyes, a captivating shade of crimson, held the weight of countless trials, reflecting a resolve and determination etched into her cold and serious face. Despite her youthful appearance, there was an air of ancient wisdom in the lines etched on her face, as if she had weathered the storms of experience. Dressed in enigmatic attire as dark as the night, the fabric clung to her slender figure, accentuating her grace and poise. A weapon hung at her waist, its deadly aura pulsating with life. Amelia. Lara's voice dripped with wariness as she narrowed her eyes, suspicion evident in her tone. What brings you here? Amelia's crimson gaze remained fixed on Lara, a faint smile playing on her lips. The smile held a mix of pity and mockery, like she found the situation amusing. Confidence radiated from her, an air of superiority that made Lara uneasy. It seems Master thinks you're unreliable, Lara, Amelia said, her voice laced with a subtle edge of condescension. Her words hung in the air, carrying unspoken implications. He sent me to observe and see how things unfold. No need for you to disturb him. Lara's anger surged within her, her face flushing with frustration. She squared her shoulders, defiance evident in her voice as she retorted, I don't need your pity, Amelia. I can fulfill my duties to Rimuru just fine. Amelia's smile widened even more, revealing a hint of teasing and condescension. It was a smile that seemed to mock Lara's confidence, undermining her abilities. Is that so? She replied, skepticism dripping from her words. Then enlighten me. Lara. Any reason for Master to send me here, other than your incompetence? Lara's hands clenched into fists, her nails digging into her palms as she struggled to contain her rising anger. The weight of their animosity hung heavy in the air, suffocating. From the moment they had crossed paths, an invisible force had driven them apart, fueling their contempt for each other. Rimuru, always the mediator, had been caught in the middle, stepping in time and again to prevent their clashes from escalating into full-blown battles. Taking a determined step forward, Lara's voice trembled with suppressed fury. Amelia, you've always carried yourself with an air of superiority. Being Rimuru's personal guard doesn't make you superior. Amelia's lips curled into a sardonic smile, her tone laced with biting sarcasm. Ah, Lara. Resorting to belittling others to mask your own insecurities. Your lack of competence has finally caught up with you. Lara's knuckles turned white as her fists clenched at her sides, her voice dripping with venom. If anyone here is truly incompetent, it's you. Strength alone doesn't grant you the right to treat others with disdain. As the tension between Lara and Amelia reached its breaking point, I watched with a mix of apprehension and fascination. The air crackled with animosity as the two women squared off, their gazes locked in an unrelenting battle of wills. You know nothing of true strength, Lara, Amelia retorted, her voice oozing with condescension. You've forever been nothing more than a mere assistant, incapable of achieving anything of substance. Lara's eyes blazed with fury as she shot back, her tone laced with biting sarcasm. Oh, Amelia, the mighty guard of Rimuru. How impressive. I suppose your only purpose is to follow him around like a loyal lapdog. Amelia's grip tightened around the hilt of her weapon, her crimson eyes narrowing into dangerous slits. The composed facade she had worn began to crumble, revealing a flicker of anger beneath. Choose your words carefully, Lara. Though you may serve some purpose to Rimuru, you are but a mere shadow compared to me. Lara took a deliberate step forward, her voice quivering with the weight of her suppressed rage. She could no longer contain the resentment that had simmered beneath the surface for far too long. You believe yourself irreplaceable, don't you? Lara's voice carried a hint of accusation, her words dripping with disdain. Let me remind you, Amelia, that no one is indispensable. Sooner or later, Rimuru will see through your facade. Amelia's laughter pierced the heavy silence, a cold and mocking sound that reverberated against the stone walls. It only served to amplify the tension in the room, sending shivers down our spines. Is that truly what you believe, Lara? Hold on to your delusions if it brings you solace. It is quite amusing to witness your desperate attempts to prove yourself. Enough. Emma's voice suddenly blared through the room, slicing through the mounting tension like a hot knife through butter. Her frustration and concern were palpable as she shot a look of exasperation at both Lara and Amelia. Lara, Amelia. What do you think Rimuru will think when he sees you two fighting here and at this time? Lara and Amelia's eyes darted towards Emma, momentarily halting their heated confrontation. The room fell into an uneasy silence as the two women reluctantly took a step back. They realized that Rimuru wouldn't be too thrilled if he caught wind of their bickering, especially in the middle of this chaos. A collective sigh of relief swept through the room, as if disaster had narrowly been averted. If Lara and Amelia had gone at each other, we'd be left with a whole lot of damage, both to ourselves and the headquarters. Alfred cleared his throat and turned his gaze towards Amelia, curiosity dancing in his eyes. So, Miss Amelia, did Rimuru give you any specific instructions? He spoke with measured interest, trying to get to the bottom of things. Amelia glanced at Alfred, her eyes betraying a hint of intrigue. With purposeful movements, she reached into her dimensional ring and pulled out an envelope. Yeah, the master handed me this to give to you. It's got all the info you need, and if you've got a message for him, I'll make sure it gets to him. She handed the envelope to Alfred, her tone professional and no nonsense. Alfred accepted the envelope with a grateful nod, his gaze fixed on Amelia. Thanks, Miss Amelia. We'll follow the instructions to a T. His words oozed respect and understanding, and the rest of us nodded in agreement. But just as the tension began to settle, Lara interjected with a sneer, her words dripping with disdain and a pinch of amusement. So, you're just a messenger now? Rimuru's guard turned delivery girl? She couldn't resist taking a dig at Amelia, her tone laced with contempt. Amelia's eyes narrowed, a flicker of annoyance flashing across her face. The room held its breath, waiting for her response. But before she could retort, Emma stepped forward once again. All right, enough of this back and forth, Emma declared, her voice firm and unyielding. We've got our instructions, so let's put our personal issues aside and focus on the task at hand. The tension in the room began to dissipate as Emma's words sank in. We understood the seriousness of the situation and the need to work together. Alfred opened the envelope and began reading Rimuru's instructions aloud, his voice steady and commanding. We listened intently, absorbing every detail of the letter. Our attention shifted from our individual gripes to the larger mission before us. It served as a reminder of the trust placed in us and the responsibility we bore.